Can you imagine the chaos if a Chinese fighter jet attempted to land on a U.S. aircraft carrier? Alarms blaring, emergency protocols activated, and the entire crew scrambling to respond. Such an event would leave the world holding its breath, especially amidst rising U.S. China tensions. But how could this happen? Was it an accident, a navigation error, or a calculated move to test the U.S. Navy's response? And why would the task force allow an enemy aircraft to get so close in the first place? Let's dive into a detailed analysis of this hypothetical scenario and the potential global ramifications. How would the U.S. react? Would the U.S. take decisive military action or seek a diplomatic resolution to de-escalate the situation? Share your thoughts in the comments below. When an unidentified aircraft approaches a U.S. carrier, Navy protocols kick in immediately. Air traffic controllers demand identification and explanation. If the aircraft doesn't respond, armed fighter jets are scrambled to intercept and escort it away. Meanwhile, Central Command activates emergency protocols, coordinating with nearby units to prevent escalation. The U.S. aircraft carrier, a floating fortress housing thousands of sailors, is not just a warship. It's a symbol of strategic power. Its defenses are designed to counter threats from the air, sea, and even underwater. This makes any unauthorized approach a critical incident, one the Navy is prepared to handle with precision. History has shown us that what seems impossible can sometimes become reality. So, what would happen if a situation like this unfolded? A Chinese fighter jet heading toward a U.S. aircraft carrier? Could it spark a war between the U.S. and China, or even escalate into World War III? Stay tuned as we break it all down. There are several ways a Chinese fighter jet could find itself heading toward a U.S. aircraft carrier, either by accident or by design. Let's first explore the accidental scenario. A Chinese fighter jet unintentionally flying toward the Gerald R. Ford could happen due to pilot error or navigational mistakes. After all, not every pilot is an ace, and even the most advanced technology can fail. Human error and technical malfunctions are entirely plausible. In fact, history provides examples of similar incidents that seemed just as improbable, but did occur. October 23, 1966. Soviet Air Force Captain Boris Kapustin and his navigator, Lieutenant Yuri Yanov, took off in a MiG-17 for a training flight near Trior. During the flight, the engine failed, forcing the pilots to eject. However, the pilotless MiG-17 continued westward, eventually entering West German airspace. It flew several hundred kilometers before crashing into a forest, causing no damage on the ground. July 4, 1989. Soviet Lieutenant Colonel Nikolai Skuridin was piloting a MiG-23M from a Polish airbase when the engine failed shortly after takeoff. Believing the plane would crash, he ejected. However, the engine restarted, and the unmanned MiG-23 continued on autopilot, flying over Poland, East Germany, and West Germany before crashing in Belgium, tragically killing a teenager. These incidents show that it's not out of the question for a Chinese pilot to eject from their aircraft, leaving it to continue flying toward a U.S. carrier on its own. Take the case of Soviet Captain Viktor Belenko. On September 6, 1976, during what was supposed to be a routine training flight, he diverted his MiG-25 fighter jet and flew to Japan, landing at Hakodate Airport to seek asylum. Could a Chinese pilot defect in a similar way? It's certainly possible. Another possibility is a provocation, a calculated move by China to test how the U.S. Navy would respond. This scenario is arguably the most likely. If a Chinese fighter jet approaches a U.S. aircraft carrier, the Navy would rely on established protocols guided by international agreements and rules of engagement. The Incidents at Sea Agreement, signed in 1972 between the U.S. and the Soviet Union, this agreement served as the foundation for preventing incidents between military ships and aircraft in close proximity. For example, it prohibits aggressive maneuvers such as simulated attacks or dangerously low flights. The Code for Unplanned Encounters at Sea, established in 2014, this agreement includes navies from the Asia-Pacific region, including China. CUES provides guidelines for communication and collision avoidance during unplanned encounters in international waters and airspace. The carrier's radar systems would identify the aircraft long before it got close. Air traffic controllers would attempt to contact the pilot, requesting identification and intent. Interception. If there were no response, armed fighter jets would be scrambled to intercept and escort the aircraft away. Emergency protocols. Central Command would activate emergency protocols, coordinating with nearby units to prevent escalation. Whether accidental or deliberate, an incident like this could have far-reaching consequences, further straining U.S. China relations. It underscores the importance of clear communication and adherence to international agreements to avoid misunderstandings that could lead to conflict.